Chief Marketing Officer at Databank. I would just like to make sure that everyone can hear me. Daniel, can you hear me? If so,
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. All right. So we have a lot planned for you today, and I'm very, very happy to see so far all 217 people on board and more joining as we go. So welcome, welcome, welcome to Databank's special Valentine's investment seminar. And before we get started and go too far, I will ask Emma Somia Kwao, our head of sales, to just come on and give us an opening prayer, and then we'll kick right off. So Emma, if you can unmute yourself. Hi.
Okay. All right. Shall we pray? Father, we thank you once again for bringing us together as a family. Today, we are going to talk about love. We are going to talk about how we can make or meet our partner's need. We pray that be with us and make this meeting of a great success. At the end, we shall all join hands in love and say it is the doing of the Lord. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen and amen. Thank you so much, Emma. So as I said, we've actually got a lot planned and a lot to get through. And so once again, it is my pleasure to welcome you to Databank's Valentine's seminar. Most of you thought yesterday was it. And once February 14th passed, some of you guys thought, okay, you won't have to hear the word Valentine's again until next year. But no, Valentine's is still going. And you know, last week I was talking, on the weekend, I was talking to a friend and a guy, and his response was, he doesn't see why it has to be one day. Why can't it be every day of the year? Like, why do we women need to hear something special or receive flowers or something special on one day? And I told him that really Valentine's, mostly it's for the woman, but it's about making someone feel special. And yes, you can show it every day. Yes, Emmanuel, we really do care about you. And so I encourage you today to listen, because we've got a lot for you to hear. So what's coming up is the first speaker is someone by the name of Mrs. Anita Tego. Her other name, as some people know her, is Counselor Moff. If I've mispronounced it, forgive me. But she is actually going to talk about how you can meet the needs of your partner. And she will be sharing 5 needs that every man has. So women, listen up. And then she will also share 5 needs that every woman has. So men, you listen up to that one. And then once we get through those things, and guys, please take notes. Once we get through that, then I will come on later and talk about 10 tips on the financial side to make your relationship even sweeter. So I'm really, really hoping if you have a pen and paper, you will take notes. If not, use your phone. I love to use my phone to take notes, but it's really, really, really important that you spend some time learning about the art of love and really taking the pains to just get to know more about love and understanding the other gender, because we're very complicated beings. But nonetheless, it is my pleasure again to have you here. So when Anita comes up, she will give her presentation. And then once she's done, we'll have a few prizes that we give away. Then I'll come up and speak. We'll give away a few more prizes. And then after that, we will have a Q&A where we will take questions from you on absolutely everything. So, Anita, are you ready to go? Because I'm about to introduce you. Okay, wonderful. So our first speaker, Anita, she is a relationship counselor and a motivational speaker and has been doing that for the past 18 years. She holds a diploma in psychology, and she's a host of the annual MOF Talk conferences. Anita, is it MOF or MOF?
Mauve.
It's Mauve.
It's my name, and I prefer to use that.
The Mauve.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
For ministry.
Okay. So some people will be laughing in the background because they know I'm from Jamaica, and some of these things I'll just mess right up. But Mauve.
It's a point name, so Ghanaians also don't usually have a problem with how it's pronounced.
Okay. All right. Very good. So for the rest of your profile, then I'll say Mauve. So she prefers to be known as Counselor Mauve, and she's married to a gentleman named Emmanuel. They've got 2 daughters. They've been married for 26 years, and they live in Takrady. So it is my extreme pleasure to welcome you. Thank you for taking the time to come on and just talk as well to everyone. We really, really appreciate it. So if you want to say a few words, you can, and then just let me know and I'll bring up your slides and then you can get into your presentation. Or are you ready?
I just want to say thank you also for the opportunity. And it's a great opportunity to talk to everybody. Tune into Databank in Ghana. And I appreciate it very much. So I'm ready, yes.
All right, very good. So everyone, please give me one moment. Let me just share her slides. And so Anita, just tell me when to move from one slide to the next.
All right.
Okay, and can Daniel please confirm again that you can see my screen?
I can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, Counselor Mauve, you may proceed.
Thank you. So we usually hear the adage, ladies first, but I prefer to start with men first in this case because men are usually the leaders and then women are responders to men. So the men must, relate to us and then we respond to them. So I want to address the 5 tips that men should know that are the needs that women have. And the first tip is affirmation. So Jillian? Yeah, affirmation. No, I'm doing the tips for men. The tips that men must have about women's needs, right? So it's men first. Great. Yes, thank you. So these are things that have come from my personal gleanings and experience in life. And for me, I think that the woman's first need is affirmation because we can see from the Bible in Genesis 2:23 that when woman was created and presented to Adam, the first thing he did was to affirm her. He said, "This at last is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh." And that made Eve feel welcome. So by way of paying attention and accepting a woman, she feels loved, You affirm her with verbal compliments like, "You look beautiful. I like your hair like this. Thank you. Well done," and all such, examples. And you basically acknowledge her, with kind words. And then you also accept your wife by embracing her differences. She's different. She's not a man. You married a woman. So yes, she talks. She's emotional. She's relational. And she is complicated, unlike you, the man. So it's good to accept that she's different and you are content with her difference and you appreciate her as she is and you can live with it. And this accepting and appreciating her differences with kindness and sincerity, it just affirms her and gives her self-worth and makes her feel secure. So the next slide, the next tip is to be loved. A woman has a basic need to be loved. And that is what is in the manual for mankind from who created marriage. And we realize from Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25 and 29, it goes on and on about how a man should love his wife. that. There's also a scripture in there. I'm not going to read this. I'm expecting that you take them down and attend to them later. 1 Peter 3:7, Colossians 3, verse 19, and 1 Corinthians 12:23 all talk about the man's role of loving the wife. I want to believe that when the fall of man happened in the Garden of Eden, this thing damaged the man's God-given natural ability to love his wife as himself. And so as the man is being restored to his God-given natural, God's design for the marriage, for how he should love his wife, there's a need for the man to be instructed to love his wife because he has lost some sort of love and appreciation for the man. You made me sing, that kind of feeling. So God tells him that you should love him in this way, in this way. And I like to stress on the verse 28 says that so ought men to love their wives as themselves. And the man who loves his wife loves himself. So this very graphic thing came to mind, that how does a man love his body himself? So think about it. If you would regard your wife as your penis or your sexual organ, because the thing that makes a man feel like a failure is if he's sterile, he can't produce children, or if he's impotent and can't get it up. This just damages the man. So if you think about it, that you love yourself, you want to take care of that part of your life, your body, then think about your wife as your sexual organ. How would you keep it? Protecting it from sterility and impotence and all that, and treating it as very precious. And that's how men ought to love their wives. And this requires an act of the will, really. And you need to ask God to help you. So when a man responds like that to his wife, in a way that acknowledges her priorities, her wishes, her needs, and all that, it makes her feel really fulfilled. Her need for love is fulfilled, and she's very appreciated. So slide 3, the third tip, a woman needs to be validated. She needs validation. Not of the, men often think that, oh, you are making too much a case out of this. You talk too much, you not too much. What are you whining about? Menstruation is a normal thing with you, isn't it? Menopause is enough. Why are you going on and on? Don't you complain too much? And you brush these things aside. And this makes a woman feel invalidated and it hurts. So not objecting to her feelings or arguing with her wants and those things, but rather accepting them makes her feel loved. Mind you, you can validate the woman while you don't agree with it. You don't have to agree with it. But just knowing that you have a different point of view, but you accept and agree that this is how she feels about this, makes her feel really worthy that yes, she's worth her own, and it results in her approving of you. So validation is a third need. Now the fourth slide, conflict resolution. Women are like waves. They rise and they fall. A woman's ability to give and receive love in her relationships, actually depends on how she feels about herself. If she feels good, even her food tastes nice. If she feels depressed and unloved, it affects everything else in her marriage. And when her wage rises, she's feeling good about life and she's nice. And the men often make this mistake that, oh, they are doing something right. They are taking good care of her. No, her wave will rise anyway, and it will fall anyway, whether you have been unkind to her or not. The falling will come. So when her wave hits bottom, when it falls, and she's feeling negative feelings and she's feeling unfulfilled, and there's any unresolved conflict that she has laid at the bottom of the ocean, she sweeps it all up. She brings it up. What's wrong with you, honey? And then She brings, I thought we talked about this. You didn't. You smothered it with sex. You smothered it with a gift. You pampered her, quieted her, and she kept quiet and she laid it to rest. It doesn't mean that the conflict was resolved. So for your own sake and happiness, note this step very, very, very well, that whatever conflict comes up, try and see to it that you come to an agreement and understand. You don't have to agree with her. Understand her and understand things from her frame of reference. Put yourself in her shoes, empathize with her, and come to a contentment that is okay. It shall be well. Then when she's happy and says, thank you for understanding, then you can buy her a gift or you can have sex, and she will be happy. And the last point that I have for men to note, in the last slide, is a woman needs to be needed. She really does need to be needed. Remember, God said, it's not good for man to be alone. That's why woman was created. So if she treat her like she doesn't matter or she's not needed, I mean, she's just started and she feels like, why am I here anyway? You know? And a man commonly makes the mistake of thinking that once he has met all of a woman's primary love needs and she feels happy and she's secure, that the woman should know that from then on, she should realize that, look, you are loved. I've done everything to show you that I love you. And that is it. But it is not, it's not so. He must remember to reassure her over and over again. Yes. A reassuring attitude tells a woman that she's continually loved and she's needed as a companion, that she cannot live without. So men, I hope you've got all these tips under your arm and it's going to help you to make your woman very happy. So we go for the women. But the man's work is really, really much more. Oh, it looks as if, yeah, the women. The man's work is much, much more than the woman's work. The man has to make sure that he's cleaning and make sure that the marriage will work. He has to leave and come and clean. He's the glue. And if they don't clean, then it's like it's his fault. So the woman has been asked to just submit to the man. And so we don't have too many things to do, but there are still tips. And the first tip is slide 1, that a man needs a companion. He needs a companion, a friend, not just a wife, a friend, a companion that is suitably helpful to him. So when a woman believes and shows it, don't just believe it, but when you show it that your man is doing his best to provide for you and to protect you, he feels trusted and it gives him confidence that he's playing his role well. And also deep down inside, every man wants to be his woman's hero. He wants to be her knight in shining armor, as it were. So when you approve of him, that is the sign that he has passed the test. He doesn't always have to be agreeable. Just approve of him. An approving attitude is a way of showing that, I've recognized that I've recognized all the good reasons behind what you are doing and that you are doing your best. It doesn't mean that he ended up right, but you are making an effort. I recognize you are making an effort. I know you want to provide for us, find some security. That's why you are doing this. And I recognize it. So, even though the thing has flopped, don't dwell on that. So be a companion who's helpful and encourages him. And it gives him reason to feel trusted. And don't try to change it. You didn't come to change it. You came to keep him company and be a friend. So point 2, slide 2. A man needs to be respected and honored. And that's because man has been created with position. He's the head of the family. He's the high priest of that family. He has been given the role of leadership to lead and to head. So submitting to his leadership and respecting his decisions and his guidance just totally fulfills him. Because then he knows that he's on course. Appreciation is the most natural response to give to somebody who is supporting you and providing for you. So it's good for a woman to every now and then show that we don't take your monthly salary that you make in for granted. We don't take your hours at work for granted. We don't take the effort that you make to make the house, give us shelter and food. We don't take it for granted. Though they seem mundane, though I also bring money, I respect your role and I honor you. And that is a man. Like 3, the third tip, women, that will make your man feel really loved, that he needs. And this is a very important tip that I want all women to understand. I want you to really take note of it. A man needs to be understood. We usually assume that it's women who need to be understood. Women are so complex, we are so complicated. No. Men need to be understood because they also have their thing. A man is like a rubber band, that is stretched. It can stretch to a point and then it comes back. And that is how they have been created. They have an intimacy cycle of getting close and then pulling away and then getting close again. It's a male normal, ladies, that's how they behave. And when a man pulls away, usually women misinterpret this. They think, did I do something wrong? Did I offended him? And they feel that way because women pull away for different reasons. Men pull away because he needs to fulfill his need for independence and for autonomy. When he's fully stretched out, so and in this case, separated, he's had his alone time and been left alone enough, then he suddenly feels like, where's she? Where's my lover? Where's he? Where's she? And then he has this need for love and intimacy again. And they also think in boxes, So you see, if you don't understand this, when he's pulling away, you let him alone. Honey, is there anything wrong? No, I'm cool. Leave him. He says he's cool. Let him be cool. They also don't think like the way we think. They think about one thing at a time. When you're thinking about sex, it's sex. If it's food, it's food. If it's money, it's money. They think in boxes. They compartmentalize their thinking as it were. So a man has a box in which he goes and he says, begging, I want to feel just veg. I want to take time off. So he just goes into that blank box and he goes blank. And so she asked, what are you thinking of, honey? He said, nothing. What do you mean nothing? You can't think about nothing. Thinking about anything, then she starts the cycle of nothing. Why are you having an affair, or are you offended because, and it goes on and on. And the man feels really frustrated and misunderstood because unlike men, unlike women, men are not talkers. They are not as expressive as women. They can't talk about all their feelings. A woman is talking about food and she brings in her feelings, and mother-in-law comes in and her work and everything comes in. A man is not like that. So yes, he's also feeling a lot of compassion and he's feeling broken also about what has happened to their neighbor. But it's just, oh, what a shame. That's all he can say. And then the woman thinks he's insensitive. And he feels frustrated because he is sensitive. And there are sometimes even more passionate. There are sometimes, in fact, men are far kinder than women are, but because they are not expressive, we have a whole lot of tax that we place on them. So a man needs to be understood. So this point is very important. Women, start a new course, start thinking about men. Go on the net, find books that can help you think about it. And I recommend a book by Walter Trowbridge called The Misunderstood Man by Walter Trowbridge. And then Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. It's also a good book that can help you by Dr. Gray. And Men Are Like Waffles, Women Are Like Spaghetti. That's also a very good book that can tell you how to handle your man. And then the fourth tip, the fourth slide, that women should take very great note of. And that's the tip that we all already know and think that is the man's first need. sex. I don't personally believe that sex is a man's first need. If you don't affirm a man, by way of being a good friend, companion, accepting him, and you don't respect him, and you don't understand him, he can lose the appeal for sex. Totally. We think that men are sexual, so they cannot, like, all you have to do is to strip and there. You can strip all you want and shake everything up, and he can go to just a limb, standing there looking at you with a very blank face, because you have failed to, know him and honor him and understand him. So sex is a need, a very basic need for man. And besides expressing love and intimacy by sexual union in marriage, men also need sex for very basic physical, biological reason, gratification. They need to be gratified sexually. And the lack of this leaves them in despair, in biological despair. Because the man's scrotum fills up with seminal fluid, and it has to be emitted when it's full. And even from when they are babies, the baby boys emit seminal fluid, and boys have wet dreams and all that. That's God's own way of getting the sack emptied and filled and emptied and filled to puberty, when you start having sexual urges, and then till you marry, when you can now emit it through sexual gratification. So there are times when just having a hard day at work and having tension, just like a woman would want to eat a very big bowl of ice cream to feel good about herself, because she's had a very hard day and her feet are aching. So a bowl of ice cream will cut it for her. Well, it's sex that usually cuts it for men. When there's no man, sex can cut it for him. And when things are not going well in the office, when she's having strained relationship with his parents or something over his wife, for example, just having sex can make him feel better. So please, sex is as basic to man as food is. So try and understand this and comply. And it's the kindest thing that you can do for your male partner. And then the last need that a man has, for me, I think is the basic food need. It is said that a hungry man is an angry man, and that tells a lot. It says it all. But I want to say that it's not just food that gratifies a man's dietary appetite. There's an attitude that accompanies providing food for a man that makes him feel loved. So in short, I'm saying that a woman who may not know how to cook very well, and her food gets salty sometimes and this way sometimes, can be making his man very happy. While a woman who is a very good cook and can make delicious meals is sometimes the husband says, "Oh, it's okay, I'm not hungry," just because of a very bad attitude. So let's not just put it there, only someday, and there it is, and be rude about it as if you are giving somebody who doesn't deserve it. He's providing money for the food, and that's not even why you have to provide. He's your husband, and he's your loved one, and he's the head of the house. So even in serving him food, there must be honor shown and respect shown, and that makes him feel loved. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think with these 5 tips each under our arm, we can have very exciting relationships. We can thrive in our marriages, and we can be in love all the time if we practice these things. And in practicing them, I think it will open the door for us to know more things about how we can make our partners feel better. And I hope I haven't exceeded my time. Jillian?
It was perfect, Councillor. It was actually really, really good. While you were talking, I was sidebarring some of my friends saying, I hope you guys are listening, because it is really, really, really on point. And men,
I'm glad to hear that.
In fact, even women, some of the things that you are saying, there are mistakes that we make all the time as women.
All the time.
We are our own worst enemies in that case, where sometimes we are there, we know what we're doing is wrong, and we know it will aggravate the man, but we're still doing it because we're trying to make a point, or we're trying to have the last word. But the whole point about men thinking in boxes and not talking, if they don't have anything to say, they won't speak. I need to learn that one.
you can get that from you can get that from Farrell's book. Men are like waffles, women are like spaghetti. Wealth of knowledge. Yes.
Okay, definitely. But it was really, really good. And just based on the comments that I'm seeing in some of the chats as you were going, I think it was very well noted. To everybody that's on the call, her thank you slide is up and her contact number.
But Jillian, I want to say a last thing.
Sure.
What I want to say is that we often say, but he doesn't love me, how can I submit to him? She's not submitting to me. I don't think we should have that attitude. Just play your role, because as you are appreciating him, it's stirring him up to love you. As you are loving her, it's stirring her up to respect you. As you are honoring him, it's stirring him up to, it just goes hand in hand, so let's all just be who we are called to be, regardless of whether he's doing it or not, because when we keep at a good tip, a good attribute for a while, then it breaks the power of the bad attitude coming from the other end, and then they change also. So that is how we change our partners, by keeping being right, not by trying to change them. Yeah, that's what I want.
Very good point. Thank you. Yeah. And just so everybody knows, I'll provide your contact information at the end again for anybody who's interested, but I'll read it out just so you can note it down. Her phone number is 0553-056-568, and her email is R as in Robert, O as in orange, A as in apple, F as in Frank, T as in Thomas, E as in egg, E as in egg. So ROAFTEE@gmail.com. Thank you. So I'm going to stop sharing your slides. We'll come back to you later.
Okay. All right. Sounds great.
Question. For those of you who have your hands raised, we're not taking any questions yet, but if you don't want to forget your question, then please put it in the chat from now, so that as soon as we get to the question section, we will be able to read it out. So David, I see your hand up, and Christopher Gotti, I see your hand up. So just drop your questions in the chat for us, and then we'll hold it until the appropriate time. So today, because we are in the season of love, and love means giving, we're going to give away a few things. So today we are giving away 5 gift vouchers, each worth 100 CDs. And then we're giving away 1 dinner for 2 worth 400 CDs. And this is wherever you are in Ghana, it will apply to you, and we'll give you all the details. But there are 6 prizes in total that we have to give away. So I'll just ask 2 questions now, and then we'll do 2 more questions after the next presentation. But the response to your question must be typed in the chat. And whoever types the right answer first is the one who will get the prize. So question number 1 says, this one is so easy. Mention 5 things you can do with *6100 hash, which is Databank's USSD platform. So mention 5 things you can do with *6100 hash, which is Databank's mobile money platform. And I will look to see if your answer is in the chat. Whoever puts their answer there first wins 100 CDs as a gift voucher. So you must type your answer in the chat versus hands being raised. Type quickly. Then let me get the next question ready. Oh, guys, I said chat. I'm seeing hands going up, but you have to type it in the chat. So please type it in the chat. George, I'm waiting on you to type. Samuel, I'm also waiting on you to type. Fatima, Isaac, all of you, put it in the chat. And then the other question that I will ask. Okay, all right. Looks like we're having, today nobody's doing the chat, so no problem. J4 just saved me. So J4, hold on, let me read your response. One moment, please. He says, direct debit, withdrawals, top up. Hang on, just shifted. Direct debit, withdrawals, top up, viewing accounts, and opening accounts. Hold on, keeps shifting. So balance checking, opening an account, withdrawals, top ups, and signing up for direct debit. That's J4. That was the first message to hit our chat. So you're absolutely correct. Jay, can you please put your full name in the chat and also your phone number? That way we'll reach out to you when we're done. Okay, so now you guys are getting the hang of it. So the second question is, okay. All right, second question says, list any 6 locations out of Databank's 19 locations across Ghana. Any 6, type them in, and then whoever gets it first will get 100 CDs again. Our other sessions, we were doing 20 CDs airtime. Now we've upped it to 100 CDs because of love. So let me know when it hits the chat. So the question again is, name 6 locations or list 6 locations, any 6 locations out of Databank's 19 locations. All right, I'm seeing the answers. And let me just go to the first one. I need 6, I don't need 111. I need 6, all in one. Okay, so let me go to the person who typed in 6 all at once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, perfect. So Nana Pijina, I am not sure I pronounced it right, but she typed in Kumasi, Takrady, Tema, Ho, Koforidra, and Sunyani. Awesome. So again, please just put your name in the chat and put your phone number as well. And then we will make sure that we get you your gift voucher for 100 CDs. Okay, so the next presentation, and again, this one won't take very long, but the next presentation that we have is called 10 Financial Tips to Sweeten Your Relationship. And we're discussing this because you can't have love without money, and you can't have money without love. The two things go hand in hand. So as we move into this presentation, I would like to ask you to all hold on to your seats and we'll get started. All right. So before we go too far, there's this quote that says, they say that love is more important than money, but have you ever tried to pay your bills with a hug? I just love this girl's smile, and it just made me feel so nice and warm. But really and truly, you can't pay any bill with a hug. So that's why we're here to talk about finances today. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to just hold them or put them in the chat. So I'm going to just switch off my video while we do the presentation, and then I'll come back on. Okay, so as I said, finances are a crucial part of any relationship, and the research backs it up. So what research says is that one, money is the leading cause of arguments in homes. And if you think about many of the people that you know whose marriages or relationships have fallen apart, money is often at the top of the list. It's not the only one, but it's definitely high up on the list. The second thing that research shows is that disagreement on finances is the second leading cause of divorce. And then the third thing is couples who discuss finances are healthier than couples who don't. So this is just to explain and really underscore the importance of why today's conversation is critical. So what we want to talk about today is how you can develop the right financial foundation for your relationship. And I'll be sharing 10 points in that regard. So number one is you must be open about your finances. A lot of times people come into relationships and they like to keep things a secret. You often find that people, you have your lives before you've met this special someone and you've come together. You have your accounts. And a lot of times, men especially are quite reluctant to share what they actually have. And I was even having a conversation with someone, I think this was early January, and he was saying that, no, he doesn't want to let his wife know everything that he has. And when you start a relationship or you build a relationship around withholding information, it becomes very shaky. And if you're not careful, you stand to break the trust of that relationship. So try and be open about your finances. Don't have too many money secrets. Like some people, they have secret debt. Some people, they have secret money saved up. Others will lie about either how good their finances are or how bad their finances are. And you don't want to get into that trap. So you may not even have to necessarily tell your partner, okay, I have X amount sitting in this account, but you can declare that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 accounts, and she will declare the same. But try and always be as transparent as possible in your relationship when it comes to money. Number 2 is living within your means. Absolutely critical. There's a big difference between what we want and what we need. And sometimes because of the people we associate with, we tend to feel that we need to look like we have a certain type of house or a car, and if we don't have that, then we feel like we're less than somebody else. And because of that, it pushes us to overextend ourselves, take on unnecessary debt just to try and keep up with other people. But that thing, you don't know how other people have even gotten what they've gotten. So never base your financial decisions or your life decisions on what you see somebody else doing. Do it according to how you can control it. So very, very important, be able to distinguish between your needs and your wants as a couple. Take care of your needs first, and then as a couple, agree on how you will sort out your wants. The third tip is avoiding debt. There's a saying that says, if you don't have it, avoid it. And if you have it, pay it off quickly. As a couple, if you've got debt, one, be open about it. Let the other person know that you've got this loan or another. Don't hide it. I have seen relationships where one person had loans and it was building up until it got out of hand. And when it gets out of hand, if you're not careful, sometimes you can't come back from that. So don't put your relationship at risk by taking on unnecessary debt in your marriage, and more importantly, hiding it and not letting your partner know. There are times we need to take on debt. Sometimes it's to purchase a house, it may be to purchase a car, no problem. But don't hide and do it. Because if something happens and you're unable to pay your debt, it stands to become a much bigger problem and a big trust issue because you would have hidden it. So that's number 3. Number 4 is about deciding whether to keep a separate account or a joint account or both. There are some people who believe in having joint accounts. I'm one of those. I mean, my husband and I, we've been married for 24 years this year, and we've always had, when we started off, we pooled everything together. He didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a lot. We pooled everything, and so it was joint. And it was joint all the way up until I think we moved to Ghana 8 years ago. And then because he came before I did, he opened up an account before me, but then we made it joint. So there are some people who it works for. There are others who it doesn't work for, and it's okay. There's no right or wrong answer when it comes to it. What you have to decide with your partner is, what is your preference? So is it that you will keep, some people keep joint accounts to pay the bills. Then they each have a separate account that is just, they put their money in and they spend it how and when they want. You've got choices, but just know that whatever it is, it's about discussion. One of the most important themes that you should take away from today is communication trumps everything. If you talk to your partner about your decisions, about your finances, it will solve a lot of issues. So this is something that you should talk about and agree on. But if you are not married, be very careful about setting up a joint account with a girlfriend or a boyfriend, because if you guys haven't fully committed to each other, it gets far more complicated if something should happen and that relationship ends. Number 4, actually, this is just a slide that just shows the pros and cons of a separate account versus a joint account. And I've kind of said it, but on the separate account side, the upside is, you know, you have autonomy. You're free to do what you want. There's no conflict because the other person is not seeing how much you're spending, where the balance is, whether it's up or down. So they're not asking you, oh, honey, this 100 CDs that you took out, what did you do it for? So you have a bit more flexibility to pursue and finance certain goals without being asked. The downside is that there are no checks on spending. So you may find that if somebody can't control or manage their money well, then it will run out quickly or they will overspend. And then it also leads to lack of trust because some people may feel like the other person is hiding the money from them, and it's because they don't trust them. The joint account, the upside of it is there's teamwork. Both of you are in it together. There's convenience. You're all spending from the same pot and you keep each other in check. But you lose some independence when you have a joint account. And again, you may have some people, one person may be very, very tight. They don't like to spend, and somebody else doesn't mind spending. And so, they're always butting heads and arguing. And also, if there is a breakup, then the separating the money can be a problem sometimes. But what you need to do is know the upside, know the downside, and then make a decision. Number 5 is about combining resources. So when it comes to combining resources, it's about people thinking that, the man always has to provide A and then the woman does B. No, learn to leverage your strengths and your resources as a couple. So there are cases where the woman may be earning more than the man for a time, or the man may be earning the money, but the woman is really good at managing the accounts. Combine resources so that you build on each other's strengths. That's how you make your relationship good. Don't lead lives where the two of you are married or the two of you are together, but it's like you're living in silos. No, learn to leverage everybody's strengths, because you each have your strengths and weaknesses. So find out what the strengths are and then pool those strengths together. That's number 5. Number 6, invest as much as you can as early as you can. I cannot say this enough. When it comes to investing, the best friend that you have is time. And every day that you sleep and you wake up and you sleep and you wake up, you lose time. Now, just to give you an example of the impact of time when it comes to investing, let's say that 2 of you on this call want 1 million CDs by age 60. One of you is age 25, the other is age, let's say 35, a 10-year difference. Both of you have the same financial goal. The only difference is one is 10 years younger than the other. If both of you are getting, let's say 15% every year, that's what your money is growing at. The 25-year-old only needs to invest 89 CDs a month to get there. The person who is 35 rather needs to invest, I think it's 370 CDs to get to that same goal every month. Every 5 years you wait, the amount you need to invest will double. So as a couple, even if you don't have clear investment goals for your money, start early, just start putting it away. And then as you figure out what it is you want to do, then you can start saying, okay, we'll shift it into this account or that account for whatever reason. But you start early, because the earlier you start, the less you will need to invest to get to whatever goal you have. The next one, number 7, is you now must decide on your investment goals and how you're going to get to them. And when you are in a relationship, it's no longer about you. It's about you and your partner, you and your husband, you and your wife. It has to go. So you need to start asking yourselves, okay, as a couple, what are our key goals and what timeline do we have? So, when you're starting out, even before you get married, one of your big goals may be, we just need to even get to the wedding and let's cross that path. Then you say, okay, maybe we may need a car, or we want to buy a house in 5 years or 10 years. Kids, how many kids do you want? Where do we want them to go to school? All of these things, some of you want to start a business, or you have a business and you're thinking about investing and building that business. All of these things are things you should discuss, and then look at what it is you want, how much it will cost, and then what do you need to do to get to that goal. But decide on your investment goals so that you work towards them together. Number 8, when you decide on your investment goal, so let's say it's to buy a house or to build a house in 10 years' time. The next thing that you have to do is you have to agree on your risk tolerance as a couple and understand your options. So what that means is, when we say risk tolerance, it's about how you feel when you see the balance in your account going up and down. There are certain types of investments, you call them equities, that will cause your money to move up and down a lot. In 1 year, you could find that your account grows by 50%, 60%, 70%. Another year, it could drop by 20% or 30%. That's what equities do for you, because it's about companies that are listed on the stock exchange, and the performance from one quarter to the next is always changing. So it will affect your investment. The other option is you have what they call fixed income investments that are very steady, like your Treasury Bills, your bonds, and we'll touch on that in a second. But you need to decide as a couple how you feel about risk, so that if one person is very aggressive and the other person is very nervous about seeing their money move, you don't don't let it become a problem between the both of you. Agree that this is as risky as we will get for this investment need that we have. So the question that we always tell you to ask, if you'd like to know your own risk tolerance, is answer this question. How would you feel if you lost 10% of your money in the first year of investing? So let's say you come to Databank with 1,000 CDs and you say, okay, Databank, I'm going to give you this money to invest for 5 years. And then in 5 years, I'll take it out to put it towards a project. At the end of the first year, your 1,000 CDs, when you check, is now 900 CDs. How would you feel? There are some of you who will be on the left side who won't be too concerned because they're in it for the long term. So the fact that it's dropped in the first year, they're okay. They'll wait and see how it comes back up. That means you have a high risk tolerance. There are some of you who are in the middle where you'll be concerned, your legs will be a bit shaky, but you'll say, okay, you know what, maybe let me watch it one more year before I make any big decision. Your risk tolerance is called medium. Then there are those of you to the far right who are very concerned, you are losing sleep, you can't eat, you can't do anything. And at that point, you're saying, Databank, give me the 900 CDs, let me take it and go. That means your risk tolerance is low. There is no right or wrong answer, none. How you feel is how you are entitled to feel. All you need to do is you just need to make sure that when you know how you feel, then you make sure you invest according to how you feel and not how somebody else feels. So if your risk tolerance is low and you can't take stress, then your investment choices are limited to what we call fixed income products. So your options are at Databank M Fund, Eddy Fund Tier 1, Treasury Bills, and bonds. Don't leave that box because anything else will move up and down in a way you may not like. If you have a little bit of strength and you're willing to see some movement in your account in the hopes that you may get higher returns, then you can add what we call balanced funds. So ARC Fund, B Fund, Eddy Fund Tier 2, they each have a bit of equities. So the potential for returns, higher returns is higher, but then there's also the potential that it could fall a bit more. So you do ARC Fund, B Fund, Eddy Fund in addition to the others. You can still do the others and mix and match. You don't have to do just one. If your risk tolerance is high, then you do all the funds, plus you can add a fund like EPAC, or you can go straight to the stock market and get shares. And on the stock market, you know, they've got companies listed like GCB, Fan Milk, Enterprise. There are a number of different options for you. But the most important thing is you must know how you personally feel. Number 9, make sure that you have the 4 key investment accounts everybody should have. Every one of you on this call. Why? You need an emergency account. The reason you need an emergency account, and the rule of thumb is you should have an account that has between 3 to 6 months of money that is worth 3 to 6 months of your living expenses should be sitting in an account that you don't touch for anything but emergency. This COVID time taught us really, really well that we shouldn't take that for granted, because there were a lot of people who lost jobs or who their paychecks were cut in half and all of those things, and they didn't have anywhere to turn. And it didn't happen because they were bad employees. It just happened because COVID came and the companies suddenly couldn't afford to pay their employees. So always work towards having an emergency account. Then you must have a retirement account. That one, whether you like it or not, retirement will come. And if you remember what I said earlier, the earlier you start investing, the less you will need to get to that goal. So you have your retirement account separate. Then now we move to the multi-purpose project account, which is if you want to travel, if you want to buy a car, if you want to start a business or upgrade your business or something like that. That's where you put it here. So you can go into this account in and out as you wish. That's no problem. And then the fourth one is have an education account for your child or children. It is something that you can even start before they are born. So then you're literally putting in 5 CDs, 10 CDs a month, and you'll be shocked. By the time they're there and they're 20 and it's time for university, you'll have enough money to cover them. But you must set up these accounts. The final point in terms of making your relationship and the financial side of it sweet is you look ahead. Don't just look at the here and now, look ahead. Look at what you want your future when the two of you have finally stopped killing yourselves working every day. What should that look like? It shouldn't look like you having to go and live in your child's house because you couldn't afford your own home. If you do that, it should be because they've told you come, but you still have your own home. It shouldn't look like you looking to relatives for handouts or for help. No. You have complete control over your future if you start working towards it today. So it is very important that as a couple, you talk about not only your present and what you want now, but where your future is headed. So in conclusion, it takes teamwork to make the dream work. I will say it again, it takes teamwork to make the dream work. The quality of your financial decisions will directly impact your relationship. You can cut down the stress and the unnecessary nagging that Counselor Mo spoke about by just having open, honest conversations about your finances and working together as a team. Guys, we're one day post Valentine's, but the relationship is year-round. And chocolates and roses won't fix it if the person thinks that you don't trust them or you are mishandling their money throughout the year. So let's really put our resources together. Let's make our spouses, our partners feel special by catering to their needs and making sure that we're managing our money well. So thank you very much. And that brings us to the end of the second and final presentation. And let me switch back on my video. All right, so we are going to get into, the question and answer section. And I'm seeing some questions coming in. I have 2 more prizes to give away before we take the questions. So while I'm reading out the questions for the giveaway, get your questions ready. And we will take questions until we run out of time. And when we run out of time, whatever questions we have not been able to answer, we will still reach out to you after the event and get your answers for you, whether the question is for me or for Counselor Mo. So question number 3, again for 100 CDs Databank gift voucher, is mention the 4 investment accounts everyone should have. Type, please. Who can remember? It was like almost the last slide. What are the 4 investment accounts everyone should have? Ooh, you guys are fast. All right, hold on. Answers are coming in too quickly. Okay, hold on. I'm just going back to the top. All right, so I think the answer and the prize goes to Richard Ofori. And he said emergency account, retirement account, multipurpose account, and education account. So congratulations, Richard. Just retype your name full name in the chat and your phone number, and we will sort you out. Okay, one more question, and then we move into the Q&A section. All right. So the next question is, according to the presentation, what is the second leading cause of divorce? So this was one of my early slides. According to the presentation, yes, that one was so easy. Okay, so let me go to the top, and that is, hold on, Jifa. I think you were the first. 1 second. I'm just making sure I'm at the top. Yes, so Jifa, let me see your full name. Te Agbozo. Yes, disagreement on finances. So well done, Jifa. Again, put your name and phone number in the chat. All right, so I want to be conscious of everyone's time. So we'll open it up to questions, and please, I'll take both hands raised and questions in the chat, and we'll keep going back and forth. And we'll try to get through as many of them as possible. If there is a question that you've asked and you've asked it a long time and you feel like I've missed you, please just repost the question again, just to make sure that I don't forget you. All right. So let me just, okay, so I'm just going to read out a few questions in the chat first. Councillor Wolf, I saw a question for you. Okay, here we go. All right. So the first question is, is from Anita. She wants to find out if the earlier tips, especially sex, the counselor shared are applicable in an exclusive relationship also, or it's just limited to married couples. Okay, did you get the question? You're muted. You have to unmute.
I'm unmuted now.
Okay, perfect.
She wants to know if sex is for marriage only.
All your tips. Is it just for all the tips? Is it just for married couples?
All the tips are for all relationships, but sex is for marriage only. Okay, other people are having sex when they are not married and all that, but sex is supposed to be for marriage only. That's why we have a term called premarital sex. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a term called premarital sex. Sex is for marriage, but all the other tips are for every other relationship. And I believe that every other relationship that you have from when you are growing up is to prepare you for marriage. So.
Okay, thank you. Anita, I hope your question is answered. Okay, the next question came from Martin Entry, and his question was to me on what's the difference between bonds in the low, medium, and high risk categories. Martin, it's actually the same. What we did is we listed them in each category to say, even if you have a high risk tolerance, you could still invest some of your money in bonds as well. It doesn't have to be limited to just high risk investments. So you can choose to say, if you had 10,000, you put some in bonds, you put some in an M fund, and then you put a little bit in equities like EPAC or shares. So it's up to you, but we kept it in each category just to show that it's applicable across all categories. Okay, sorry, let me just go through. Okay, then Ellie asks, what happens when one partner is for joint and the other party is for separate accounts? What's the best way to deal with this? Ellie, it's what I would recommend, and it will come through talking, is where you may land in the middle, where you decide to have a joint account for certain things, and then you have a separate account just for your little, call it like an allowance account. So that in a way will help to balance those two needs. But really, it lands with communication. The two of you have to talk and agree and decide what is best for both of you. Sorry, I'm trying to keep. Okay, Cynthia, the title of my presentation was 10 financial tips to sweeten your relationship. 10 financial tips to sweeten your relationship. Okay, and then I'm going to take, I'll take one more question, then I'll move to the hands. So Samuel, I'm coming up to you. So Anthony asks, how do you invest together if you're in a long distance relationship and your partner is not in the country? Anthony, if you want to do a joint investment, you can still do that irrespective of where your partner is. It just means that your partner would need to email her portion of the information, but it's not a problem at all, provided both of you agree. Then with the investments, if it's a joint account, the option that you have is then you guys decide whether any one of you can sign to do a transaction on the account, or you want both of you to sign at all times. So there are options that you have, but definitely distance doesn't have to stop you from investing at all. So I hope that has answered your question. So I'm going to move to the hands being raised, and then I'll come back to the chat. So Samuel, you can unmute yourself, please, and ask your question. Hi.
Yes, I have two questions. I want to know what package would you advise for the multi-purpose project and then the education, considering the returns, the likely returns, and then accessibility to funds, as and when you want to take it. And then the second question is, do you have any packages concerning insurance in case you want to set up a policy for your partner and your children at Databank?
All right. Okay. So I'll answer the second one first and then the first one second, because we're not licensed to sell insurance. So if you're looking for life insurance or anything in that area, you'd have to go to an actual insurance company. I'm glad you raised it anyway, because then it allows me to also say that there's a difference between insurance and investments, and sometimes people mix the two things. So investments insurance is to insure you against a certain event happening. So it's not an investment. It's not something that you can walk in to an insurance company and say, okay, I gave you 5,000 CDs last year. I'd like to take 4,000 back. It doesn't work like that. What you have done is you have paid them in advance for the potential that something could happen. And when that something happens, they will pay you more than you actually gave to them. So it's good to do. You'd have to go to an insurance company for it. And but because we're not licensed to do that. Your first question about where, in terms of the multi-purpose account and the education account, which investments would work. With the multi-purpose and even the education, it's time-based as well. So let's say in your multi-purpose account, you are doing something, you're investing towards something where you'll need the money in 2 years or 3 years. If that's the case, you still stick with fixed income, like an M fund. Because that one, you can go in and get your money at any time. The value is not going up and down, so you don't have to worry that the time when you need it, the value of it may have fallen. So ideally, anything under 3 years, I would even say 5 years, you stick with fixed income. And the same applies for education. So if you're saving for your children, EduFund that we have actually has a short-term version and a long-term version. So if you are doing for like termly school fees where you may need to dip into it every few months or every year, you go with tier 1. If you are saving towards university education for your children or even for yourself and it's a few years away, then you go for tier 2. So it's when I spoke about risk tolerance, that's one element, but in choosing, time is also important. If your project is longer term, you can afford to bring in a little bit of equities or some balance funds, but if not, stick with fixed income. I trust that answers your 2 questions. So I'm going to go to Christopher and then Joanna. So Christopher, you can unmute yourself, please.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing fine.
Good.
Please, I have 2 questions to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And then my first question is, what is the interest rate on government of Ghana bonds and the notes currently? The current interest rate. And then the second question is, assuming I invest today on both bonds and then or notes, and then 1 year or 3 months later, the interest rate changes. Will it still affect my investment?
Okay.
So
Those are your 2 questions.
That's my last question.
All right. So if you buy,
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Christopher. So if you buy, let's say, a treasury bill, let me use that as an example because that's what most people will buy. If you buy a 1-year treasury bill, currently, so it's a 364-day treasury bill. The rate is currently 16.85%, around there. So just under 17% for the year. If you buy it today and you are quoted that rate, even if the rate goes up or down next month, you are still having the rate when you signed up. However, the rate changes during the course of the year. It doesn't affect you, both for good and for bad. Okay. So yes, on your treasury bills, the rate is roughly between 14.5% up to 16.8, depending on how long you are holding it for. And then bonds, roughly 16.5 up to a little above 20%, again, depending on how long you are purchasing the bond for. If you don't want to be locked in, then you have M-Fund as an example that you can put the money in and you can get it whenever you need. But that one, the rate is not guaranteed. That's just what you need to know. Okay? All right, thank you.
Okay, madam.
Okay.
Thank you,
next,
madam.
you're welcome. Next is Joanna. And then after Joanna, Councillor Mof, I have a question for you from the chat, so I'll come back to you in a minute. Okay, so Joanna, please go ahead.
Okay, hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I have 2 questions. My first question is, I'm a student and I've done the education fund. So if I complete my education, like I'm done with my master's and my PhD, and I decide not to go back to school, and I didn't use my investment, can I change the whole profile and use my children, my kids to replace it? And my second question is, if you and your partner, like you are in a co-terms, like co-relationship, and I know that every woman will try to maintain her relationship with her partner. But if you later realize your partner is giving you attitude for no reason, what will you do?
Okay. I think I'll answer the first part and then I'll let Councillor Mof answer the second part. So if your question, if I understood it, is you were saving towards education or something and you didn't use the money and you want to know if you can use it for something else. Is that correct, Joanna?
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right, so yes, if you have an investment at Databank, a mutual fund investment like M Fund, ARC Fund, B Fund, even Eddie Fund, even if you set it aside for education, if you haven't used it for that purpose, it's still there. It's there for you to use the way that you would need it at any time you would need it. So it's completely flexible. So you don't have any issue with that. Even if you had labeled the account, let's say you had labeled it business because in your mind you had wanted to start a business in 2 years and then you didn't bother. The money is still there. So you're free to use it for whatever purpose, whenever you need. Hopefully that answers that question.
Yes.
So Councillor Mof, can I ask you to step in and then answer the second part of the question about what happens when your partner is giving you attitude?
What do you mean by attitude? Joanna, what do you mean by attitude?
Okay, so what I mean is he's giving you space, distance. The way you guys are is not the way you are today. Like there's space. That mutual rapport you create for each other has reduced.
So talk to him. Communication is the live wire of every relationship. Talk to him. Don't accuse him. Don't be negative. Just talk to him. But in the first place, I think if you think there's distance, instead of thinking that he is distancing himself, why don't you close him the gap? Why don't you do things that brings you close together first? And then if it is coming from him, then as you draw close, he's going to draw away. Then you can talk with him and ask him in a very kind, loving, and humble way what is going on. And don't be, condemning, don't be accusative. Just speak in a language that doesn't put him on the offensive, it doesn't offend him, it doesn't make him be defensive. Yeah, and then I think that should do it to talk.
Okay.
So you show love first before you ask, because for all you know, he is thinking that you are being distant. Something happened and then you reacted, and then he reacted. You may not know. So if you think he's being distant, well, you don't want the distance, so you draw close. All the things that can keep you close together and all of that. And then if that doesn't work, talk about it. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Good.
All right, thank you, Joanna. Okay, Counselor, don't go anywhere. I've got a bunch of questions for you.
I'm here.
Okay, so I'll start with Daniel, and then there are a number of them. So he says, thank you very much for the education. I'm learning some new things this afternoon. Please, why do some ladies take for granted the love that men have for them and begin to misbehave, especially when she knows for sure that you truly love her? Do you need me to repeat it again?
I heard it. These are very general questions, and they don't have cut and dry answers, But what is making her misbehave? I don't know. I can't just give you an answer. And I think that with relationships, okay, it's more important to be the right mate than to demand the other person to be the right mate. Light begets light. So if she's misbehaving, practice all the things that you must practice for misbehavior. Love forgives, love believes all things, love does not insist on you and all that. Be kind. And then address the matter. Just go ahead and address the matter. Say, hey, you are doing this and this. Is anything wrong? Because one thing I've realized is that sometimes when somebody is being nasty, it's actually a cry for kindness. When somebody is being mean, it's a cry for love. When somebody is being bitter, somebody is being angry and they actually feel insecure. That's why it's coming out as anger. So try and empathize with them. She's your loved one, your wife. Empathize with her as much as possible, and then try and respond kindly to her, and then talk about it. Talk about it. Because she's probably reading some vibes and she's talked to a friend, and somebody has said, don't be a fool, don't just, level up. So she's not trying to be a certain way, which appears to you as misbehavior. She's your own. Take the reins and handle it. From kindness and love, don't attack it and don't accuse it. So I think that should do it.
Thank you. Okay, a few more questions. So Fatima asks, at what point should a woman leave a relationship? And I'll ask a second question from Atujona, who says, how do you deal with a partner who enjoys having problems in a relationship, like quarrels seem to make them happy?
Yeah, that's a melancholic type of personality. They're always rummaging for something to throw a pity party about. How do you deal with that? I really don't know. She has a personality, it's a temperament. So you have to learn to walk with her or walk away, because you can't walk till they are agreed. So if she's your wife, then you must learn to walk with her. And that's why I said that the men, your work is plenty. In the scriptures that I gave that you should go and read, it says that the man should love his wife and nurture her with the washing of the water, as for example, if she's rude or doesn't talk graciously. In a Bible study, you can break up the verse, Colossians 6:4, and says, let your speech be gracious and all that, and involve her, let her give examples of being gracious in speech and all that. So it's you who must, prep her. And it continues to say that you may set her up for yourself. See, so your work is a lot, and this must be done lovingly and kindly, so that she doesn't think that she's being picked on or attacked. So what was the question again?
So that was.
What was the question again?
So the one was.
Yeah, she's always whining, complaining. It's a personality problem. Look, get the book. Why you act the way you do. Why you act the way you do by Tim LaHaye. It's a book on temperaments. And then that's the first part. But the second part talks about how to be spirit controlled, how to modify your temperament to make yourself.
I think she's frozen. One moment. Okay, so it looks like.
I think studying, relationships don't.
I think we're losing her a bit. Okay, I'm waiting on her to come back. All right, so while we wait on her, maybe what I'll do is I'll answer one or two questions that came in for me until she comes back, and then we'll continue. So another question that had come in was, sorry, there are a lot. Is it nice to let your girlfriend know the investments that you are doing? This was asked by Philip. Philip, my response would be, if you are in a committed relationship, long-term committed relationship, where both of you have decided that you are the ones that you want to be with, you're thinking of getting married, then yes, it's something that you could consider sharing. If not, then really, I am not sure there's any point sharing that level of information yet. Someone had asked for the book references. We will provide it again later. Once she comes back on, I'll get that for her. Then somebody asked, what is the best investment plan to do when you're planning a wedding? It depends on how many years away your wedding is, but I would advise that you consider a fund like M Fund for your wedding planning, just because it doesn't move around too much, and you want to make sure with a wedding fund, that's not the one that you want to kind of take a lot of risks with. I think you would want to keep that money nice and steady. And then someone says, I have now started with my fiance, Emmanuel. I work, but I don't know how to save well, so please help. Emmanuel, what I would do is say, please send an email to marketing@databankgroup.com. That's marketing@databankgroup.com. Or even here, you can send me a direct message with your name, full name, and phone number, and we'll get back to you and actually have a proper conversation with you where we're not rushing, and then we'll help you get started. And then Cynthia says, will you advise rolling up all over? Hold on, I'm just trying to figure out the question. So she's saying, will you advise rolling up all over again to build up the investment made over 5 years for another 5 years, or maintain the initial deposit that was made in the beginning of the investment for as many years as possible, considering the fact that a top-up, sorry, I'm trying to see the whole question, considering the fact that a top-up is made every year. Cynthia, I am not entirely sure that I fully understand your question, but what I think you are asking is whether you should do regular investments and then when you hit your 5 years, you keep going, like you roll it over and you keep going, or you just stick with your one deposit. I'm really not sure. I'd love you to clarify that. But if I understand what you're asking, we encourage you to invest consistently. So if you don't have the means to invest on a monthly basis, then do your best to invest as and when you can. But if you have the means, even if the means are small, get into the habit of investing regularly. There is no, especially when it comes to mutual funds. Mutual funds are like your EPAC, your ARC fund, B fund, M fund. There's no maturity date, so you can let them run for as long as you want, and you don't have to even worry about rolling it over. It will just keep going and going and going until you need it. It's when you have things like the fixed term investments like Treasury Bills and bonds, those are the ones that you need to look at rolling over, giving specific instructions for what should happen at a certain date. So Cynthia, I hope I have answered your question. I'm told that Councillor Mof is back. So if you are, please say hello and let me hear you.
Hello.
Okay, great. All right, so you are in the middle of answering, well, I think you had answered the question on the person who was quarreling a lot.
I'm going to answer the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which was?
I'm going to answer the first one. What time do you leave a relationship?
A relationship, correct.
And I want to know the qualification for relationship. Are you talking about marriage or a pre-married relationship? Because if it's a marriage, I am never in a hurry to ask anybody to leave a marriage, except it's abusive. And if I say abusive, I'm talking about physical abuse. You can have all sorts of abuses in marriage, like verbal abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, and others, which is not acceptable, but it doesn't kill you physically. You know, you can get counseling, you can get help. But if the guy is beating you and could kill you before help arrives, then it's not advisable to remain in the same abode with him. and it is advised that you separate. And separation in this case is not a final thing. The idea of separating is so that you each both get help actively in the period while you are separated, so that you can come back together if it is solved. But then oftentimes, a lot of the marriages are not even put together properly. So sometimes you really can't keep it together. But if you are not married and you are in a relationship, you are courting, I think there are certain things that you should look out. For example, one law that I like to abide by is that what you don't like today is not likely to change tomorrow. So don't assume that, oh, he'll respect me more if I'm his wife. If a man does not respect you, it's a very important reason not to continue working with him. Because already a man is the head of the house, he's being abused, and a lot of men are using that platform to control their wives and abuse them in several ways that is unfortunate. So if while you are courting, he's stingy, and you said it right from the beginning that money is really necessary for a love relationship to go on. And a love relationship needs money, yes. So you don't just fall in love, you use money to fuel the love. So if he's very stingy, it's going to cause a lot of problems. And if he disrespects you, because love actually is something that grows. It's not a feeling, it's a spirit, it's a decision. Love is something you choose to do. And love grows, and it's built from, it starts with compatibility, respect, and trust. So if you can't get that trust and respect,
Okay, so I'm told that it's raining quite a bit, or the weather is quite bad in Takoradi, which is likely affecting her connection. Okay, you're back, so you can continue.
I didn't know I was off. When did I go off?
No, but you were.
I could.
Okay, but you answered the question largely, so I think we can move on to some other questions. Okay, so I'm going to, all right, the last question from David, then I'll go back to the hands that are raised. So David's question is, he says, thanks for the education. Is it healthy for a woman to say because she has an issue with a man or with her man, she can't eat in the same bowl with him? And must sex be requested by men always? I'm hoping she heard my question. Counselor, you're frozen. Oh. Okay. In the interest of time, all right, it looks like we lost her again. So I'll unmute Philip, and Philip, you can ask your question unless you had put it in the chat and I've asked.
Okay, so my question, good afternoon.
Hi.
Okay, so my question is, I have two questions. So the first one is, if you are in a relationship with a lady and she's not working, right? And you are the one supporting her all this while, what she will eat, everything, you are the one supporting. Is it advisable to continue? And then my second one is, I have an investment with the Databank. I mean, I have all the 4 accounts, EPAC. I started a EPAC about 14 years ago. And I don't know how my investment is faring for now, but I just want to know if I have some returns, good returns with the company. So that's my last question. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Philip. I'll take the second one first on EPAC. So if you've been investing in EPAC for 14 years, definitely you would have seen appreciable growth on your money. You can send us your full name and phone number, and then we can reach out to you and get you your balance. That's not a problem at all. And then I see Councillor Mo's face right on time. So I think I'll let her actually answer your first question. So I'll just repeat it. Did you hear his first question?
I heard it very clearly, yes.
Okay, so you can answer that one.
What I want to say to that is that I do not understand why a boyfriend should support a girlfriend. That is done by her parents. Everybody, we have roles in marriage and we have roles in a family. It's the parents who provide for the children. No matter how old you are in your parents' house, they provide for you till you marry. When you are courting and you get to a certain point, well, money may pass, maybe you've been dating for a while, you are courting seriously now. But I don't believe that it is the guy's role to support her, as it were, or the girl's role to cook for him and wash his clothes. And that kind of behavior just ruins a relationship, because these things are done inside marriage. But then a lot of things have changed today, economy and all that. You have a girlfriend and already they have trouble at home, she can't go to school. You'd like an educated wife, so you want to help. But along the line, it gets to a point, then you even providing for her sets you up as a father figure. Nobody wants to marry their father. They want to marry their lover, somebody who is a boyfriend, not somebody who is responsible for how they are accountable for the school fees, the credit they got her, the money, chop money they gave her, and all that. So along the line, she's likely to meet somebody who is just a boyfriend, and they are just enjoying fellowship, the relationship. And it's easier to fall in love with such a person than the one who holds you accountable for the provision. So please, that alone spoils it. So I don't know how to answer your question now, because I don't want you to start. You are saying that if you are the one doing all this, must you continue to do it? I don't think you should even start to do it. And I think that if you have a girlfriend and you discover that things are very difficult at home and you really, really want to help, you can send a bag of rice to the mother. One day you can dash the father something or other. So it comes to the house and the home is provided, she's provided for in the home. And even that it gets to a point, it feels like I've been responsible for almost all your family, so I have to marry you. It really changes the perception of things, and it sets you up to be disappointed. So it's not advisable.
Okay. So I'll ask Felix to unmute himself. And then I'll go to Rebecca. We have about 10 minutes left, so I'm going to see how quickly we can get through some of these. So Felix, if you can unmute yourself, please. All right, then let me ask Rebecca.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay.
Yes,
So I traveled out of the country about 3 years ago. I had an account with Databank before I left. I haven't been able to access it. So I wanted to know, how to access the account and how to check it, and if I can control it from here. Like if I want to make deposits or withdrawals, can I do that from here?
Absolutely. So Rebecca, send an email to info@databankgroup.com. So info@databankgroup.com. All you need to give them is your first name, last name. And if you can help them by giving them the phone number and the address that you may have used to register the account, then they will search for the account number and send it back to you once they have verified that it's you. Then since you're out of the country, you can continue to invest using Visa, MasterCard, and there are some mobile money options too, where you can use to actually still send money to us through Momo. So there are a number of options. When you send the email to info@Databank Group, they'll give you, just ask them for all of those options and they'll send you everything in the email and get you sorted. All right, thank you. And then, so Counselor, I'm coming back to you. So I'll read out two questions at the same time. So Jay is asking, how do you manage a home as a man who earns less than your wife? And so that's one question. And then
I didn't get that very clearly.
Okay, how do you manage a home as a man when you are earning less than your wife?
Okay.
And then
I get it now.
Okay. So, and then I'll ask you two more questions at the same time. So Robert wants to know how to deal with a girlfriend who does not want to reveal her monthly salary. So that's number 2. Okay, and then the third one is, okay, then the third one is, how can, Richard is asking, how can I manage our finances when my wife is the spending type?
Okay, so the first is, how can I manage my home if I'm earning less than my wife, right?
Correct. Yes.
I think that Jillian, you addressed that in your talk. I think you must sit and talk and have a plan. You know, you earn less than your wife and she earns money. When Jillian was talking, she said in the beginning, they roped everything together. He wasn't earning so much, she wasn't earning so much. So whatever they put together, and they had a plan. They had a financial plan, and then they used that, you know, for a long time. So it's not about who is bringing how much. I think the two of you are one. You are one entity. You are a couple. And so if you're not doing a joint account thing, it's her money and your money is less. Just sit down and talk about it and decide, since your money is more, maybe the most important thing is getting the school fees, you know, paid. And I can use my money for food. You know, you, the woman, can give me a list of the things there, and then I can use my money for food, so that you use your bigger money for. Just discuss it, because the times may change and things will turn around. It's not written anywhere that the man should earn more. And then the second question says, I wonder why I allowed to. Jillian, can you help me? The second, they are all about money.
Yes, so the second one was, how do you deal with a girlfriend who does not want to reveal her monthly salary?
Yes. This is not a marriage, this is a girlfriend. In marriage, you can't have secrets. And I think it was the first point that Jillian gave in her talk. But this is a relationship. You shouldn't encourage secrets, but she may have a good reason for keeping her monthly salary. And it's hers. Because like when Jillian was talking about separate finances, you may have a joint account where you put in money for joint things. And then you may have your own separate accounts where you are not accountable to anybody. You know, even in that marriage, you can have that separate account, because you may want to bring up some surprise that needs money and you don't want him to know about it or whatever. You want to surprise your mother-in-law, you don't want him to know. You must have your own money. But this is a girlfriend, and she's probably in that place where she doesn't trust you totally yet, or she doesn't know whether she can. So she may feel apprehensive that you getting to know how much she earns, and probably it's even maybe a lot. You are going to probably turn into a gold digger, or maybe if it's so much, you may look down on her and not have enough respect. She may have her personal reason. But I think that's not the most important thing to build to bring you to the place where you can marry. Okay, so respect her wish to keep her salary private for the meantime. But in a marriage, it's a different story. And then the third one wants to know, I think that's Richard, what do you do with as a woman who is a spendthrift? She's spending the money all the time. You have to, I tell you, communication is the key. It's very, very key in working together with somebody. but the underlying factor is love and kindness. The Bible says that against these things, there's no law. If you are kind, you are gentle, you are faithful, you are good, you are self-controlled and everything, yeah, I don't know what can be disagreeable with that. So think about it, take your time, and then start to talk with her. And then you can also, if it's a wife, yeah, if it's a wife, then it's important that you get to the on top of this matter. Then you can also say that, you know what, this is how our finances are like, and this is the picture. So I think that we have to structure things in this and this way, and it all comes to communication. But as you do it, show love, show respect. Don't be accusative, otherwise all things will blow in your face.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the chat. We'll take 3 last questions. So Sandra, we haven't heard from you at all. Bismarck. So Sandra, I'll ask you to unmute yourself. Let me just give those who haven't had a chance to speak. Okay, Sandra, if you're there, unmute yourself. Bismarck, if you are there, you can unmute yourself. Okay, Bismarck, go ahead, please. I'm not.
Okay.
Bismarck, your connection is very bad.
Good afternoon. Thank so much, and God bless you for the good work here.
Thank you.
I have. Hello.
Yes, go ahead. It's better, yes.
Hello. Yeah. Okay. I brought a child from my village to somebody, and after serving for years, this man is already. Now, fortunately, she's has become insane. The parents are on me to get that money. And I think once it's been invested in her name, I think she's the only person who can access it. I don't know whether there's a way. Secondly, I have EPAC, and I did it when I was not married. Can I change it to a joint service, joint account time, and then tell it in the E-Fund and M-Fund is sometimes some way? Is there any cheaper means? I think I overheard something, Momo or something. Yeah, these are my 3 questions.
Okay. Unfortunately, your voice was going in and out. So Bismarck, what I would ask you, if you don't mind, is just put your phone number in the chat, and then we'll call you as soon as we're done and just answer all your questions, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just please just send me your number in the chat, and then we'll reach out to you
I'm great.
as we're done. Thank you so much. All right, so Techno Spark, you can unmute yourself and ask your last question.
Keep quiet. Yeah. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I really appreciate your time, but I think my question has been answered, so you can move to someone else who may have a question.
Okay. Are those your kids?
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, they are my kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
Well, nice of you to join.
Yeah.
Hi, boys.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much.
Hi. Welcome,
Hi.
welcome.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so we are, hang on. Okay. So it is 3:59 and we are out of time. We really wanted to close this by 4. There are a couple questions in the chat that we'll just answer directly. And then if there's anybody who has a question that we haven't gotten to and it's a burning question, send your email to marketing@databankgroup.com. Marketing@databankgroup. So if you have a question about love and these matters, send it to marketing@databankgroup.com. If you want to check your balance or find your account number, send it to info@databankgroup.com. So Danielle, who is my co-host, Danielle, please just put that information in the chat for everyone to see, please. So I have 2 last giveaways, and then I'll ask Counselor to just say her closing words, and then we'll wrap it up. So my last 2 giveaways are for one more. Oh, actually, yeah. One more 100 CD gift voucher, and then a dinner for 2 worth up to 400 CDs. If you can eat 400 CDs worth of food, then we will certainly pay for your dinner. All right, so for the last 100 CD gift voucher, the question is, mention 3 advantages of a joint account as opposed to having separate accounts. So if you remember, I had put up a slide that showed the upside and the downside of a joint account versus separate accounts. There were 3 advantages for having a joint account. Hang on. I'm hoping you guys can hear me. Somebody just said they couldn't hear. Okay, you heard me because I see the answers coming in. So Cynthia, yep, got it right. She says teamwork, convenience, and checks on spending. Hey, you got it exactly right. So Cynthia, drop your number in the chat and you just won 100 CDs in a gift voucher for Cynthia Ajewa. Okay, now final question for dinner for 2 for 400 CDs. Woo. Who's hungry? All right. Okay. So this one is not easy. This one is not easy, and it wasn't covered in the presentation. So we'll see. We'll see how you guys fare. Okay, so Databank recently rolled out its direct debit portal to help make your lives easier. And there are 2 things that you can do in the direct debit portal. If you can type those 2 things and let me know, you will eat a whole lot. You will eat and eat and eat and eat. 400 CDs worth of eating. No, it's not topping up and checking your balance. This is direct debit portal. Direct debit. And my team members know you can't answer. You won't get the prize. Emmanuel, I see no. Yes. All right, I see the right answer. Emmanuel Apia Apator. And the answers are, you can set up new instructions. So you can set up a new direct debit, and you can also amend your instructions. So Emmanuel, drop your phone number in the chat and let us know which city you live, and then we will sort you out. So with that, it brings us to the almost end of our program, where I would just like Counselor to just give us a few closing words for the guys and for the girls so that they go off and do the right thing. Okay. Everybody.
So ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you a blanket 3 keys that works in all relationships.
Take notes.
3 keys. Everybody is different. You are a boy and she's a girl, so accept each other. You didn't marry a boy. You didn't marry a girl. You know, you are different gender, different person. So accept each other. That's the first key, acceptance. Then, since we are human, we err. So forgive each other. Just apply the key of forgiveness all the time. And then the third thing is that we all have weaknesses. So every now and then we are so bad by our weaknesses. Just cover up their weaknesses. Don't publicize it. Don't throw it in their faces. Just be a covering for their weaknesses. And I think that that will just give us, an ace in all our relationships. So acceptance, forgiveness, and covering. Let's apply them.
Amen.
Besides the tips.
Okay. Counselor, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate the time and the insights that you've shared. It's been really, really good. And being married for so long, it's refreshing to hear it. And sometimes you forget some of these things and you take them for granted. So it's nice for somebody to tell you again and put you in remembrance. And I think what I would love to share with those that are on, when I was getting married, our pastor gave us some advice way, way, way back. But one of the things that he said, and you said it earlier, and I just wanted to re-emphasize it, is that he said, when you've met somebody and you are planning to get married, that person, both you and that person, you're on your best behavior. And so at that time, if you see something that is bothering you or is making you pause and say, just know that marriage will never fix it. Whatever you see in the dating stage will only get bigger when you get married. So if it's bad, it will get worse. If it's good, it will get better. But marriage will never fix anything at all. And it is one of the most valuable lessons that I have learned and kept. And so you see so many marriages today, 1 year, they're done. 2 years, they're done. Some of them 2 months and it's over. And it's because a lot of times they saw things, but they thought that, okay, if we get married, it will sort it out. Guys, it never happens.
It will get better later.
It won't. So make sure that whatever you see is something that you can live with in marriage if it never changes. Manage your expectations that way and always, always treat your partner with respect. That would be my closing advice. And then invest, please, because if you are the most loving couple and you don't have any money, you'll be at each other's throats. So make sure that you invest and sort yourselves out. Make a nice life for your kids when you have it. And we thank you very, very, very much. God bless you all. Have a wonderful rest of the month and year. Stay safe. That's it.
Thank you. Bye. Bless you.
See you all. Okay, bye. Thank you, Counselor.